Hello, my name's Helen and I work for Cheshire East Libraries. Today I'd really like to share with you a book that I love, and the book in question is Melissa Harisson's All Among the Barley, which is published by Bloomsbury. All Among the Barley is set in 1930s rural Suffolk and evokes the beauty of nature and the rhythms of the farming year, whilst at the same time portraying the farm's hardship under the shadow of the Great War. If you're anything like me, you'll be quite pleased with the inclusion of two very helpful maps at the beginning of the book. There we go, just to show you. The first map shows you the village, and the second map is of the farm itself. And I found these really helpful to refer back to. The story is told through the eyes of our very likeable protagonist, teenager Edie Mather, whose life living on and helping with her family farm is happily disrupted by the arrival of Constance Fitzallen, or Connie, an exuberant and exciting young woman who has come from London to learn about rural traditions and to celebrate the old ways. I read this book a few months back on the recommendation of my mum and several of her friends. Thanks, Mum. I felt immediately from page one that it spoke to me in its detailed descriptions of nature. I enjoy the nature writing genre itself very much, but I feel that this novel offers even more than that in its great characterisation and in the compelling plot that unfolds against this beautifully detailed Suffolk backdrop. I also enjoyed the author's obvious love of language, and I think it's fair to say that although many of her characters are people of very few words, her description of the pastoral frequently strays into the lyrical or poetic. One reviewer likened it to a series of incantations, and if you do decide to read this, which you absolutely should, then you'll see why that's such an appropriate description. Edie's one of those characters who stays with you long after you've finished reading. It's some months, as I said, since I read this book, and yet she's never far from my mind. Age 14 and having recently left school, Edie's expected to make some decisions about what the future holds for her. The rural females of the 1930s were not overwhelmed with life choices, as we know, and as Edie's older brother Frank says, something will happen and you should choose it. Edie's still essentially scrabbling around in hedgerows and rescuing creatures, and you can't help but feel that adulthood is beckoning her far too soon. Connie's arrival at the farm illustrates to Edie that there's another world out there, other than following her mother and grandmother into the witchcraft-like role of keeping a family and community fed, healthy, functioning in both body and mind. It's not giving away too much to say that Connie might not be quite what she appears. And this is where the historical context of the novel becomes so very important. But you'll have to read it yourself to find out more about that. It is sufficient to say that I was glad to find that All Among the Barley is as much a portrayal of the harsh realities of the 1930s rural life as it is a celebration of it. Themes like the threat of a bad harvest, farmers' mental health, women's roles, people's distrust of each other within a small community, and politics, they're all cleverly woven into Edie's story, and they are, of course, as relevant as ever to us today. Melissa Harisson understands mental and physical fragility as much as she understands the magic of the landscape, and I'd heartily recommend this as a great read for anyone who has any interest in how humans depend on the land and each other. I found it really hard to put down, and I eagerly await her next book. Thank you for listening. Please look out for more Books We Love from Cheshire East Libraries coming soon. Bye for now.